Everybody, thank you so much for coming back to the Highways and Hedges Monday School channel. I do want to apologize. The reason I'm posting this is because my Sunday lesson that went live had no sound. So we continue to battle with trying to make sure that you guys are getting the messages on Sunday morning. Starting this Sunday, I am just going to tape it as normal, and then it will be posted to the channel probably by around 2 o'clock Eastern time, 2 or 3 o'clock Eastern time, depending on how long it takes it to upload. So just kind of plan on that going forward. It will still be there on Sundays, just around 3 o'clock. I'm going to hold off on live until I can figure out the audio sound. But for today, you still need a lesson of part 2, generational sins and sins in general. So I'm going to recap that lesson. It was a 45-minute lesson. I'm going to recap it to about 10 minutes. So a lot of these verses, I want you to have your Bible out, write them down, and then after the video, go back and review them along with the points. And I hope it makes a big difference there for you. The text verse for part 2 was Proverbs 22:6, which says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So what I wanted to talk about for today is sins in general first. I'm going to wrap up part 1, and then we're going to get into how this text verse applies to this lesson. Just as a recap for last week, just remember, you only have 2 camps that you can sit in. God hates sin and loves people, and the devil hates people and loves sin. You can't walk in both camps. So you have to decide, you yourself need to make a decision on which camp am I going to go into. Of course, we're going to sin. We are sinful beings, but knowing that sin, knowing you sinned, trying to sin less, and then if you do, when you do, you want to claim 1 John 1:9, get cleansed immediately, restore that fellowship with God. So of course we're going to sin, but you got to remember the devil loves sin. And that is our challenge for today, is we're going to sin. Understand that forgiveness is there for you. Just don't love the sin. Don't love any sin. There's only 2 camps, God and the devil. Just a reminder, sin is not a toy to play with. It's not a friend to connect with. It's not a pet to feed. These are not things that we can handle on our own. It's not a joke. It plays to destroy both you and your family. And now we get into the lesson. That was all a recap from just last week. The lesson for this week is, first off, the nature of sin. The nature of sin. I want you to understand it blinds you. It will blind you. If we see it in Genesis, Eve saw the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. She saw the tree. Achan saw the Babylonish garment and the gold when they conquered Jericho. Peter saw the crowd when they were taking Jesus in to be tried. So sin will make you say, man, look at all these great things. You know, Eve saw a great tree. Achan saw a lot of riches. Peter saw a lot of the crowd trying to force him to stay away from Jesus. But it will blind you. It will make you think it's fun. It will make you think it's good. It will make you think it's there to benefit you until it wraps you up. Letter B of the nature of sin, you can read 1 Corinthians 5:6 and Galatians 5:9. Both of them read, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Meaning sin is going to spread, not just in you, but in your family, in your closest circle of friends, into your church. That's why there's church discipline in the Bible, because the pastor or the overseer of the flock needs to understand that sin is going to spread in this church if we don't cut it out. And then, of course, number 3, Numbers 32 23, Numbers 32:23, sin will find you out and leave you wrapped up in its cords and broken with consequences, possibly for decades and generations. We're going to hit on that this upcoming week. So make sure you tune in on Sunday for that lesson. But it's going to wrap you up. It makes you think you're free. It makes you think you have all these free choices until all of a sudden you're all bound up by sin and now you're addicted, or now you have to do this certain thing, and you're in a situation where your flesh and the world and the devil are now controlling a lot of your decisions. That wasn't your intent when you first started the sin, but that's where sin leads you. So now there's different types of sin. I did want to touch on this. You can read Galatians 5:19 through 21. And the first type of sin is a sin of commission. The definition of that is an active, willful violation of God's commands. That means you are actively, willfully saying, I am against what God's laws are telling me I should not do. That might not be your mindset, but that is what a sin of commission is. You are actively, willfully sinning against God. So what's the other sin? That would be a sin of omission. And we're going to see that in James 4:7. He that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. That's a sin of omission. You're failing to do what is commanded. You are not following through on the commands. So you see, when you read the Bible, when you read your King James Bible and you see a thou shalt not, that's telling you this is something you should not do. That's a sin of commission if you break that. If you see something that says thou shalt, that's telling you what you should do. When you don't do that, that's a sin of omission. We have sins of commission and sins of omission. Both are terrible. Both will bind you. Both will break you. Both will destroy you. Neither of them are to play with. So you have to understand, both in the physical realm and in the spiritual realm, that sin will break you. And now we get to Proverbs 22:6. Proverbs 22:6 again says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. And now we're kind of going to transition into generational sins, because education is going to vary. All right. Now your basics, your 2 + 2 still equals 4. All right. The law of gravity, no matter what your teacher says, that's a law of gravity. Gravity is not going to stop until God takes over and destroys the earth. That is a law of gravity. So education, there are some basic fundamentals, but then we get into things like history, religion, spirituality, salvation. Those are the topics where education can vary depending on what school you go to, what school district you go to, what they teach. Is it a private school? Is it a public school? So that education is going to vary widely. But we as human beings learn more from personal experiences than we do education anyway. In other words, when we're talking about generational sins, what we do does not only affect us. What we do affects those who watch us, those that we raise, those that we have raised and are now watching us, those in our inner circle, those that we influence every day. It's those personal experiences that we watch and then we learn from. I have some statistics here. 40% of babies are born to single mothers. What do you think their path is? Their path is likely they're going to learn and they're going to watch their mom. They're going to forget that they have a dad. And they're going to watch their mom. They're going to watch their mom struggle. They're going to watch their mom, have a hard time of balancing the bills and giving them a place to sleep and making sure that they have the clothes and food to eat. And they're going to go through a struggle, and maybe, Lord willing, they're going to go to a good church that has a good system in it. But most of them are not. Most of those kids are going to walk out of that situation, and that's all they ever knew. They didn't know anything about marriage. They didn't know anything about the husband-wife relationship. They didn't know anything about what God is telling them. The role of a husband, the role of a wife, the role of the children. They're not going to learn any of that. A lot of them are going to transition over into single moms. And babies born into a substance abuse home are 8 times more likely to develop an addiction. That just makes sense. It's around them. It might be in them. Maybe, we have some examples where, a child was born to an addict, to a crack addict, and they're called crack babies because their blood system is now flowing just as their parents were. So they are more likely now, they see the struggles, they see how their parents cope, and they say, that's how I'm going to cope. And now you see where I say sin does not play. It only attacks. It only attacks. And then I want us to look at 2 Timothy 1:5. 2 Timothy 1:5, and then we're going to wrap up this lesson. 2 Timothy 1:5 says, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois and thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also. Paul is writing here to Timothy. And what he's saying is, I know your grandmother Lois, and I knew your mother Eunice, and I know they worked very hard to make sure they delivered unto you the doctrine, the gospel, how you should walk, how you should act. They trained you up the right way. And now I want you to take that information and pass it on. This is now the right way of looking and combating against generational sin. And again, we're going to get into it much more next week. But what I want you to see is here, Timothy was not an accident. It was work. It takes work to raise your children. It takes work to teach those that don't know. It takes work and effort and time and care and love and compassion. It takes all of those things. Nothing that we do laissez-faire or relaxed, or we say, we'll just see what happens. It never ends well. Really, the point of this video here is to help us understand that sin destroys. God loves people and hates sin. And it's our job. He gave us his word to track, to do, and to teach to other people. All of that takes work. I hope this was a helpful video. I wish you could have seen the in-class lesson. You will definitely see it, Lord willing, on Sunday. But come on back for part 3, and I really hope this is a big help to you and to those in your inner circle. Generational sins and sins in general. It's a heavy topic, but it's one that needs to be discussed consistently. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, throw in some comments. Till we talk again.